Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. One of the most noble lines from Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream. I have a dream today. If Martin Luther King didn't dream, then he would not have been a self-respected and the youngest male to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Martin Luther King Jr. was born January 15, 1929 in a family home in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Martin Luther King was the first son and the second child born to Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. Because of Martin Luther King Jr., I can dream. He led nonviolent protests to fight for the rights of all people. In his first major civil rights action, Martin Luther King Jr. led the Montgomery bus boycott. This started when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus. White and blacks can get educated in the same classes. I can drink out any water fountain. I have the right as an African American woman to vote. The life of Martin Luther King Jr. should be motivation and inspiration to us all. He demonstrated that it does not take violence to make a world better, a better place. He was a more non-violent civil rights leader with a to-die legacy. Martin Luther King was an American Baptist minister, leader in the African-American civil rights movement. King was a major figure in the civil rights movement in Georgia, where he rose to become the head of a NAACP in Atlanta, and the civil and the political legacy. Except the Nobel Prize for Peace at moments was 22 billion Negroes of the United States of America are engaged in creative battle to end a long night of racial injustice. I accept this award on behalf of the civil rights movement, which is moving with determination, majesty, scorn for risks and dangers to establish a reign of freedom and rules of justice. I've been to the mountaintop is a popular name of the last speech delivered by Martin Luther King Jr. on April the 3rd, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. His speech talked about seeing the future of civil rights movements from the top of the mountain, where the movement has succeeded through the powers of love and nonviolence. Yet in his vision, King is not there to see the victory. The next day, he was assassinated. Another one of his speech was Victim War, Vietnam War, against Vietnam War. Well, that was another one of his speeches. One of the greatest speeches by Martin Luther King Jr., A Time to Break Silence, was delivered at the Riverside Church in New York City on April the 4th, 1967. It is a statement against war and principle in the same sense in which King's letter from Birmingham City Jail, published 4 years earlier, had been a statement against social injustice in principle. Yet, like that extraordinary early appeal, A Time to Break Silence is also addressed to the evils of a particular time and place. It protested commands, deployment by Lyndon Johnson, of almost unlimited violence against people in the land of Vietnam for the declared purpose of protecting them from the immense of word composites. His parents were church, a background by his parents. His parents was churchgoers, Christian people. A loving family was very uneven. His dad was a pastor. He brought up his son to follow his footsteps. Martin Luther King was raised by both his parents in a loving home. Martin Luther King's mom was murdered at the church while playing the organ. He was the father until then. Once he became a man, they pastored together at the same church. First, I'd like to talk about motivation and inspiration to us all. Today, over 700 streets in the United States are named after Martin Luther King Jr. One with such street in almost every major city. This is not even counting the amazing number of buildings and schools alike named after him. Not even presidents had that honor. Because of solid foundations of religious upbringing, that was his motivation to strive to fight for the rights of all races, color, and religions. Martin Luther King Jr. skipped 2 grades in high school, the 9th and the 11th grade. He entered college at Morehouse College at the age of 15 in 1944. He received a bachelor's degree in sociology. He was 19 when he received that bachelor's. He graduated his PhD at the age of 25. King is dated the youngest male to win a Nobel Peace Prize, winning in 1964 at the age of 35. At that time, he was the youngest overall for the Peace Prize. The youngest ever to win a Peace Prize today is Malala, who won in 2014 at the age of 17. King donated $54,123. About $400,000 today he received for his Nobel Peace Prize to the Civil Rights Movement. During his acceptance speech, he stated, "I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. That is why rightly temporary defeat is stronger than evil triumph." Next, I would like to talk about the importance of his legacy. It wasn't until 2000 that all 50 states officially observed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The last state to join were Arizona in 1992, New Hampshire in 1999, Utah in 2000. The holiday itself was originally signed into federal law by President Ronald Reagan in 1983, with the first Martin Luther King holiday on January 20th, 1986. 4 days after Dr. King's assassination, Congressman John Conyers introduced the first legislation provided for Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday. January 1969, the King Center sponsored the first annual observation of Dr. King's birthday with an immortality service and other events and calls for nationwide commemorations of Dr. King's birthday. The observation became the model for subsequent annual commemorations of Dr. King's birthday, nationwide, setting the tone of celebration of Dr. King's life, education, his teaching, and nonviolence action to carry forward his unfinished work. King's first book, Strive Towards Freedom, the Montgomery Stories published. King's book, Where Do You Go From Here? Chaos of Community is published. King's published reveals his plans to organize a mass civil disobedience campaign, the Poor Campaigns in Washington, D.C., to force the government to end poverty. In my conclusion today, I have briefly demonstrated to you why Martin Luther King Jr. life should inspire, motivate us all. I was given the facts as to how one man's dream can make things happen. It was not easy for him, however. He never gave up hope. He would rather give his life if he had to fight what was right for us all. A non-violent world leader that fought for whites and blacks with his head held high. What a great leader he was. Because of Martin Luther King's dream, now I can dream. It's a dream to build upon. Well, take the dream. I'll pass it on and on and on. Let freedom sing, let freedom ring. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.